dress a certain way, walk in a certain way, look in a certain way, then yes, you are a suspect.
I don't know who she is, but that we've spoken about her before. She wants the police to have to cramp down or go even harder on strip and search. So the black
stop and search.
Listen, I had to scratch my eye because I was like,
No, listen, it's stop, strip and search.
No, it's just stop and search.
They search you thoroughly to the point where they might as well strip you. So apparently the black community obviously is worried, right? Because obviously then that's technically might mean that, you know, a lot of them are going through some stuff as well. So that obviously caught my attention. I was like, like, what do you do with that? It's like what you always say that, hold on, if, let's say, like the high percentage of blacks are often found with knives, then, because they were saying that the power is police have the right to stop anybody or any car that they think is suspicious of carrying a weapon, right? So a black guy like me, I'm walking in the street, you know, I want to know who they are listening to earphones. What's going to make them think that, oh, he's carrying a knife, except the color black? But then, is that right or is that wrong? At the end of the day, it's getting knives off the street, but then isn't that exactly what discrimination is against a certain race?
I think you have the right to ask the police what's made them suspicious of you.
Yeah.
What if the color black is the case? Because, like I said, the point that Chin once made, if we can't get away from the fact that blacks in the UK, a high majority, okay, they were saying that last year, or I don't know if it was last year or the past few years, they've managed to find like 50,000, I think, knives. Don't quote me on those details. Yeah. But then let's say you look at the stats, and the high percentage of that was from a black minority, basically from a black people that they stopped and searched, right? So the mindset of the police might be a black person equals carrying a knife. So the suspicious could be it's because you're black, but is being black suspicion? Should that qualify as a suspicion?
Well, to an extent, if the majority of the people they have searched are black, have been carrying knives, then I'm not mad, because then we've put ourselves in that position. Because if they search 10 black people and 9 of them are carrying knives, unfortunately that is going to be the statistic, that the majority of black people are carrying knives.
Being a race just can't be a suspicion.
No,
I don't think it's about. I don't think it's about being a race, being a suspicion. But if that's what your research is showing you, if that's what your results are showing you, that a lot of young black men in a certain demographic are carrying a weapon, and every time you happen to search one, they do happen to have a weapon, I wouldn't be mad at that profiling. It's a profile at the end of the day, isn't it? And that's even people who search for criminals have to work off a profile. And a profile does include things like race, age and gender. And that's how sometimes they narrow down what kind of criminal they're looking for. There is crimes that young white males between the age of, 21 and 25 are more likely to commit than a young black male of that same age.
I mean, I was going to add, I think you've mentioned it anyway, but I was going to say that I doubt it's just race maybe that they go on. Maybe you have to be black, wearing a hoodie, walking in a shady way, carrying a black bag, you know, like, I don't know. But I think that's why this is an interesting thing, because as right as you are, should that then mean that the police have the power to literally stop every single black person on the basis of the fact that because you're black, there's a chance that you're carrying a knife, because all the people that we've searched that were black or had knives? Should that be the case? And I think that's where the interesting conversation is, because then definitely you do create a certain thing against the black minority way, and you can end up discriminating as well.
I would say a bit of yes and a bit of no. No, in the sense that your first question was, we've spoken about, do people know their rights when the police stop them and stuff like that. So if you ask the police, why have you stopped me? What are your suspicions? if they can't give you an answer, then you need a comeback for that. Well, you're not giving me an answer as to why you found me suspicious.
But you know that's gonna go straight to resisting arrest and not cooperating and things like that. I feel like.
But you're not being arrested.
You're just being searched.
Yeah, but the fact the minute you ask to, and actually we've actually seen situations where if police don't like to be questioned. Yeah.
Get somebody else that's walking by and say, okay, if you're gonna search me, I want somebody present.
Oh, that's fine. Let them search you and then lodge a complaint afterwards.
That's gonna go missing at the barrel, at the bottom of other complaints that have been lodged by black people.
Then keep logging the complaint.
I mean, I get that.
Go to your MP.
It's
fair enough.
listen.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
How did black people win their freedom?
By lodging complaints.
In essence,
Pretty much over and over again.
It was through bureaucracy. Yeah.
It only took what 200-300 years.
Well, I
but
mean,
are we not here?
I mean, I don't think for the whole time, maybe, I don't know. But the point is, okay, funnily enough, actually, I was actually engaged in several heated discussions over this topic on Instagram this morning.
Hey. People have time to, in this small day.
Yes, yeah. And it was around the same issue.
Discussion as well, you know.
Yeah,
no, we exchanged words.
You know, those don't just last 2 seconds.
It means
not just one word.
No. It was cordial. It was a reasonable discussion. I don't engage in troll comments, people that just slander for no reason. So it was a reasonable discussion back and forth. And obviously the sentiment is the same. Oh, stop and search just increases racial discrimination and whatnot. And the point is, there is a knife crime and drug crime pandemic or epidemic, right? And something has to be done to tackle that. And if you know me, I've always agreed to giving police more power to actually be police and police people. I don't think being black alone should be a reason why you're stopped and searched, because then you're right, that is just pure discrimination, racism based on the color of your skin, right? But obviously that's not how stop and search works. And when people say that, I think they're just trying to hyperbolize it or whatever to make it emotional. But that's not how it works. If you're in a certain hotspot, let's say for example, you know, dress a certain way, walk in a certain way, look in a certain way, then yes, you are a suspect. Why? Because you're fitting the image or the profile of a gang member or of someone carrying a knife or of someone intending to do harm, whatever it may be. So in that case, yes, I'm okay with someone being stopped. If they're completely innocent, they'll get stopped, they'll get searched. Police will say, okay, that's fine, you know, go about your day. You say, thank you, officer, you go about your day. What is wrong with that? Obviously, for me, it's always about how the police conducted the search, because they don't know. They have a suspicion, but they don't know. You're not guilty. So if they come to you and treat you like a guilty person, pin you down, whatever, then okay, yes, I'm in the same WhatsApp group, but that's not acceptable. But if they come to you and say, under the powers of Priti Patel, blah, 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 under this whatever, we have suspicion to suspect ABC, we're going to conduct a search. You know, let's say that the body comes, whatever, and they get your bag, they look through it, spread your arms, they pat you down, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sir, thank you, nothing when you go about your day. What is wrong with that? If you're not guilty of anything, if you're not hiding anything, what's wrong with you being stopped like that? Knowing that the police are actively trying to combat crime. I don't see the issue with that.
There shouldn't be an issue. But at the same time, I know a lot of people would have an issue with that in terms of it. It's not the bestest of experience to go through on the streets, basically. You know, especially if you are innocent, right? Especially
I've been stopped and searched several times.
Your own business.
It didn't put a kink in my step.
Not
I went
you,
about my day.
Not you, but people. It would for some people. To be fair with you, my mind towards this is slightly changing. I don't know how I feel about it per se, but what I do know is that running the world just can't be as easy as, okay, since the stats show that most black people have knives, it's okay to search most black people. I feel like that's why people in parliament or in positions of leaderships have the toughest time to run these things, because you still, in as much as the stats are showing that, you still have to make sure that you are not discriminating, even if it is in quote in the what in the force of good or for the greater good or something like that. So you are right. You do need to combat the knife pandemic, but how you go about it means never justify the end. Right, so the means are also important, and I think that's why running things is very, 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 very difficult. That's why you can never just get one good thing. And
I'd be happy for the police to search every black person if it meant that would reduce the it would reduce the amount of knife crime on our streets. Because I don't think people that don't work in that industry really understand how much of an issue that it really is, because what comes to the forefront on the newspapers is half of what is going on the streets. Not even just half, probably less than half of what is going on the streets. So I think maybe I'm coming at it from a different perspective. I might be speaking of it from a very subjective perspective, because I know the impact that knife crime is having on the streets, on our young people, especially our young black lads. The amount of times where there's a stabbing or a shooting and it's black on black, the perpetrator and the victim. A lot. Even in schools, when, you know, kids are being searched and knives are being found, majority of the time it is black children. And I'm not saying that, you know, white kids aren't doing the same. Absolutely, they're doing the same, but there does seem to be a disproportionate in the percentage of that. And I don't know whether that's a wider discussion of households, what's going on in black households that's making our children more susceptible to this kind of lifestyle. Maybe that's a different conversation. But at the end of it, at the end of the tunnel, you do have a group of kids carrying weapons who happen to be predominantly black.
And here's where I agree with the naysayers or those that have caused to think. Because obviously, a recent report found that the Met Police is apparently institutionally racist, right? Whatever that means or however that plays out. Okay, fine. But that's what the report found. So the argument they're making is saying, okay, so in the same year or in the same sort of couple of years, we found out that the police are racist. We're saying we're increasing stop and search powers. And the argument is that that's going to proportionally discriminate against people of color, right? And I get that. But then my question is, this has been announced. Why is it that the black community are coming out and saying, oh, no, this is going to be bad for people of color, right? Okay. I want to put this delicately, right? Simply put, if black people stop carrying knives, they'll stop being the main suspects.
Okay, so
because the thing is, unfortunately, we're going to have to prove ourselves, right? We're in a position where we have to prove ourselves. So if for the next year the majority of stop and searches are conducted on black males and they turn up 0.0 knives, they'll be like, you know what? We're not actually getting any knives from here. Knife crime is still rising. We're stopping a bunch of black guys. Knife crime is not going down. Maybe let's reevaluate this, because clearly the black people are not carrying knives. What's going to happen in a year, 2 years from now? They'll turn their attention to the Latinos or to the Indians or to the whites.
You really have a bone to pick with the Latinos.
No. My point is, and maybe I'm coming from a purist mind to say, to say everything is hunky-dory, that there's no racism, whatever. But my point is that the proof is in the pudding, right? The discrimination will go where the stats are. If white people start carrying more knives than black people, the police will have no choice but to start stopping more white people than black people.
Okay. To be fair with you, I don't disagree. And I don't disagree because I don't have a solution, right? But I think all I'm trying to say is, and I'm glad on what you said. So let me take the institutionalized.
Just say racism. It's fine.
Racism in the police, right?
Yay!
Got that. Listen. Can we all get behind that and support the police? Say, you know what? As long as you get the job done, you can be as racist as you can be, because at the end of the day, you're getting knives off the streets. Is that okay?
I don't think we're saying to the police.
No, I know you're not saying that, but I think that's the point I'm trying to bring. To say that I admit I don't have solution, but my point is, it's not okay for them to be racist. Yeah, so they still need to do their job without that racism stigma into it. So in other words, right, I would want, or rather, I think people like me, us, what we want is for the police to be able to look at the black community and maybe even differentiate between that black community. To be able to say,
What do you
okay,
mean?
as in, okay, she spoke about profiling, right? They need to understand the black community and how it operates, the culture and things like that, to be able to tell when there's a suspicion, when someone is actually suspicious, aside from the
think
color.
they do.
Does that make
But I
sense?
think- I think
but then
they
the
do.
thing is that if they did,
I think it's a very simplistic view to think police just think every single black person is a criminal.
but then isn't that exactly what the institutionalization racism is?
No,
Because
not necessarily.
My understanding of that is that basically the approach of police towards black people is racist. So it's simply put, as an institute, they are racist towards black people in the sense that they just, all black people to them carry knives in brackets, right?
No, I don't think
So if I'm wearing a hoodie, right, listen to music next to a white guy wearing a hoodie, listening to music, what that means is that the chances of me being stopped and searched are high, when maybe the both of us should be stopped if hoodies portray to them that something is dodgy, drugs or whatever, because that kind of clothing has been associated with that kind of life, right? If there's a white person and a black person wearing the same thing, both should get stopped and searched. But the reality is that that's not usually the case. The case is, if they're together, maybe they'll both be searched, or maybe they'll both be left alone. But if they're separate, if it's just a black guy, the chances of the black guy being searched are quite high than for the white guy being searched, right? And that's what racist is. So that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing is, I don't know, because I'm not gonna disagree with the report that's conducted. But for me, I always put big question marks against institutional racism. Anyway, I put.
So you think that they don't exist?
I think a lot of it is to do with the black people victim mentality. The world is against us, or looking for inequality, looking for inequality in everything
Where it doesn't exist,
instead of actually just trying to be the best in everything. You see, the way I view it is that if I was a leader of black people, I'd be like, you know what, guys? Yes, slavery happened. Listen, every race has been a slave at one point or another. Every single race. So it's not a unique experience to black people. Let's stop acting like it is, right? Every race has been a slave. Yes, we're the most recent, I guess, on a wide scale. There's still slaves today, but I guess we're the most recent on a wide scale. Okay, fine, that happened. We got our freedom. We're humans now. Under the law, I'm the same as a white person. Okay, great. Okay, yes, there's fragments of the past that remain. Okay, let's do the best we can do today. You know what I'm saying? Like, every single black person, aim to be the best person you can be today in whatever you're doing. And in that journey, if you meet racist people, I agree there's racist people in the world. And yes, in that journey, you may meet those racist people. Let's talk about those occasions. I'd be happy entertaining those conversations. But don't come to me and say Oxford University is racist. How do you know?
Yeah.
And I think for me, going back to the stop and search, I think my biggest qualm would be, is the stop and search legal? Because you can have an illegal stop and search. So I think it's also understanding is what has just happened to me legal? And if it's not legal, what are the reasons that it is not legal? Is my race one of those reasons? So when I say, understanding what's
Hang on, before you go, I think one of the issues with this new Priti Patel declaration, whatever it is, I think the issue is that the police, I think there was a clause somewhere that prevented police from just doing random stop and searches. But I think it's like now they've been given the power to just conduct stop and searches based on, I guess, their own assessment. So I guess it would be harder to define what illegal and illegal stop and search is. Because the police officer can be like, oh no.
But even
I just had a hunch.
Even in their thing, the legalness comes in their conduct, because as a police officer, I could justify the reasonings for my stop and search. But it's also how the stop and search is conducted. That's where the legalities come in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you're asking why I'm being stopped and searched, they have to tell you that. They can't just say, oh, just because. They have to tell you that.
Yeah, true.
If they make it, they can make
So
it up.
The reason is
obviously.
we have reason to believe that you might be carrying.
Yeah. What are those reasons? What has led you to those reasons?
Your age,
Yeah.
the area that you're at.
That's fine with me. That's legal enough because they are areas that are hotspots for things like that. So if I saw a 15-year-old in certain areas of the city that we live at a certain time, I would be suspicious as well. Because we've got to remember, the police are trained. These are trained people. There's certain criteria. Even in a lot of professions, there's certain criteria is that if you mark this, you suspect this. It doesn't mean it's the thing. But you have to now, your guards have to be up to say, actually, this is what could be happening. So if you're a doctor and a patient comes to you and they're like, oh, my stomach is hurting on this side. It started in the middle, then it moved to this side, and then I was vomiting and I've got diarrhea. You're going to think, okay, possible appendicitis. Because what the features that they've given you are getting your clocks ticking that, okay, possible appendicitis. The same way if you're a police officer, you've got a 15-year-old male wearing all black, a hoodie, you can just about see their face. We're probably even wearing a balaclava because they think it's okay to do that. In a crime hotspot area, not engaging with anybody, not making eye contact with anybody, looking down, that kind of thing. I'm going to think, okay, I'm a bit worried about you. I think you might be concealing something because you have ticked certain criteria that are that's the word I was looking for, indicators of something dodgy possibly happening. You could search that they could just be a timid 15-year-old. They like walking with their head down. They like wearing the color black. You search and there's nothing on them. They go about their business.
Anyway, I understand why some people may think this is probably not the best move. Yes. But then my question to them would be, because I know what one of the points that someone was making today was to say, we have to look at the factors of crime, poverty, low income, blah, 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 socioeconomics. Okay, that's fine. But all those are long-term solutions, right? You're not going to solve poverty overnight. The issue is today, right now, a lot of young people are carrying knives. What are you going to do about it? So fine, if we're saying stop and search is not the best idea, okay, fine. I want to hear what the alternative is. And don't tell me, oh no, let's look at poverty, let's look at more youth groups. I agree, but that's not going to happen today. We're talking about years, 4, 5, 6 years minimum for any change to happen on that level. So today, as we're talking right now, while people are getting stabbed outside, what are we doing? I think stop and search, I think it's a good start. I think it's a good start. I think people have to start fearing the police again. Obviously, that's not popular right now because the police don't help them being rapists and weird people and stuff like that.
I think that's where
in everything there's rotten apples. In everything.
I think the police is half of it.
And that's what I was going to say, that unfortunately, when you've got positions of power, there's going to be people who apply for those positions solely to abuse that power. Because of that power, they get off on that power. So unfortunately, unless, there is a new psychological thing that everybody can be tested and it's 100% fault proof, there are going to be people in the police who are racist, who are going to abuse that power of race. What can we do about that? I'm not entirely sure because like Chin said, there will be rotten apples in every profession, and there are people that know where to find their victims and they will put themselves in a position to be there. So I like to think that that's not the majority of the police, but yes, that things like that are going to happen, unfortunately, because at the end of the day, every police officer is still an individual with their own subconscious, with their own life story, with their own upbringing.
No, I do get that. Like I said, to your direct question, I don't have a solution per se, but I am very mindful that
maybe we should start manufacturing police officers instead of hiring humans.
We can go down a slippery slope of AI and robots turning on us and them deciding humans are trash.
Robot police officers, man, actually look good,
Because then they'll be very objective.
That's
They'll
the
be
thing.
programmed to just stick to
And
the
then
facts.
someone is gonna hack into them, corrupt them, and then before you know it,
Then apparently there's no solution.
Listen,
Black
do you
people
want the
are being-
robot or do you want the human rapist? Pick one.
Because now you just sound ungrateful.
So just because there are no good choices doesn't mean that we have to pick one. No, like I said, I get you, but I think on the other side of the scale is also making sure that we don't shut our eyes and just say that, oh, you know what, as long as we can have this end goal, it's okay on what we can do. Because I feel like that's never the way forward as well.